welcome back to the Hammered Leatherworks studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Great dog lead. And why is it called Great? Because a percentage of the sale of all of these leads go back to Greyhound Adoptions in Western Australia. So let's get started. All you're going to need to complete this video tutorial is a pair of scissors. Let's open the box. So what's really unique with our kits is everything you need comes in the box. So you've got your leather for your lead, the rope for the center, a certificate to show that you've made it, or if you're giving it to somebody else, it's a really great add-on. We've got an envelope with your needle and thread and a beautiful black snap hook. So let's pull everything out and take a good look at what we've got. So thank you for buying a Hammered Leatherworks kit. We're sure you're going to have a whole heap of fun making it. There we go, we'll put that up to one side. Alrighty. So the rope is nice and strong and it doesn't react to the leather, so it's not going to get weaker with age. And that is a beautiful veg tan leather which is going to patina as it gets older, so it's going to look really natural and really luxe. So shall we get started? So open your all the small things envelope, and inside you will find needle and thread, because it's all you're going to need for this one. We start at the L-shaped end of the lead for this project. So I'm just going to lay this out straight. Here we go. We're going to start at this end where the Hammered Leatherworks text is written, and we're going to add, the first thing we do is add the snap hook. You can, because this is a really long project, the thread in your kit is really long. So what I am going to suggest is that you sew the first short seam by trimming your thread first. So if you haven't watched our Stitching 101 video, go do it now. Alrighties, here we go. So we're going to measure our thread to do the small seam, which is this section here in the middle between my fingers. And I do that because you don't want to be pulling 4 meters of thread through these holes. It'll get really dirty and really icky really quickly. So the snap hook rotates 360 degrees, so there's no wrong way to put it on. You can put it on any way you like, as long as the leather goes straight through this D-ring that's permanently attached at the end here. So this one's really easy to follow. So you're going to take the leather and you're going to put it through the D-ring end. And the area where there are no holes, that is where the leather is going to U-turn over the D-ring. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to fold the leather in half and we're going to place that section on the back. So this first row of holes here will be this first layer of holes here will have 3 layers of leather in it, and that's where we're going to start on this little short side. When I say short side, I mean the area that's going to have the rolled over leather section. So when you see this, you'll see we have a long side, which is this one on the left, and a short side, which is this one on the right. We're going to start the seam. We're going to start this seam by coming across from the long side, with our needle and thread, across from the long side and coming up that first hole down. There we go, leaving a little tail. Then we're going to go through all 3 layers of leather through that second hole down. And then we're going to go back up that first hole, because making that full stitch is going to anchor that stitch, keep your tail secure, and it's also going to line up all the holes through all 3 layers of the leather for you to get started. So we're going to sew this seam from top to bottom. Then you're going to go back the way you came There we go. So that is at full length stitched. So now I'm going to take the thread, go through the top hole, through just one layer of leather like we did when we started, and push it out between the layers. We're going to leave this long for now until we completely finish the project, and then we'll trim it off. So now you need to thread what's left of your thread, which is quite a bit. So you're going to want to untangle it, well, unroll it, shouldn't be tangled, and thread your needle. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew the area where the hammered logo is first, and that's going to remain flat, and then we're going to insert the rope. So coming in from the opposite side as we did before, between the layers, it doesn't matter which ones. Up the first hole, and down the next one. So here we are, we're coming up the last hole at the end of the Hammered Leatherworks logo. Pull that through. Now is when we start to insert the rope core. So taking one end of the rope that's been allowed in your kit, you're going to put the end into this lovely opening here where the suede is, and just tuck it in there nice and firmly, grasping it with your fingers through the leather, and off you go, one up, one down, all the way to the end. And then we'll do the bend for the handle. Okay, so here we are coming to the last stitches in this row. There we go, that's the last one. I know it's a long way, so give yourself a super congratulations, but because you're doing this stitching row in all one piece, you're really going to thank yourself for it. You're really going to have it long term and have it for a long time. So this is where we're at. We've finished our sewing to the end of this section. These holes here are for when we turn the end around to make the loop, which will happen like this. So let me show you. Like this. And then these stitching holes, they're going to line up and incorporate back into the stitching holes you've already got here. So what we do right now is work out how big we want that hand grip to be, and that will affect the overall length of your lead. So if you need a specific length, a short lead for an aggressive dog, or for extra control, or you like it long, then the size of the hand loop is going to influence that. So for me, a hand loop of a good size is about this. You're looking for something that's comfortable to grip but doesn't restrain your hand at all. So this is quite good for me, this size here. So what I'm going to have to do is, now I've lined that up, see this edge here, now I've lined the leather up over the top. I look at that hole and I can see here that it goes to this hole here. So you can do one of two things here. You can mark the leather with a pen, or you can keep stitching and keep checking. So, I mean, that's what I usually elect to do. So once you know how big you want your hand loop to be, it's also a great time to have a break and get a drink of water or a cup of coffee or even a beer. And so we're going to start sewing back the way we came from until we reach that point, and then we're going to create the hand loop. Please remember to pick your ups and your downs. If you've seen our Stitching 101 video tutorial, you'll know what that means, because keeping that rhythm is very important to very beautiful looking stitches and a very quality stitch. So here we go, we're going back the way we came. So don't forget to keep checking your hand loop along the way. That was about the size I desired. I can see I've still got a fair way to go. If you keep checking the hand loop, then you won't miss the part where you have to join them together. There we go. I'm going to check my hand loop again. So I think I've got about another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 stitches to go, and I can start incorporating the hand loop section. Alrighty, so here we are. We're going to check that hand loop again. Check the positioning, check the size. Bingo! So this is my perfect hand loop. My perfect hand loop. So now we're going to start incorporating this leather back into the band. But before we do that, we do have to trim the rope that's hanging out the end. So we bend the leather back so we have no risk of cutting it. And trim. So there we go. It's trimmed just before the holes in the flap section start. So there's no rope beyond this point here. So where that slant starts, there's no rope. So here we go. We're going to bend it round. Oops. Tangled my thread in the process. Let's fix that. Okay, and we're going to line it up. So the first few stitches are a little bit tricky, and you will want to hang on to your project quite firmly when you're gently pulling it into position. So as you can see, this was our out hole on the back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up that first hole in the leather flap. So we're starting to incorporate the flap section. Now it'll be quite loose for now, and it's not going to line up perfectly to start with. What we do need to do is get the next stitch in, and that will help pull it into line. So I'm just trying to get the light on this in the best way possible for you. So we're going to go in the second hole down, in the next stitch as you normally would, and then we're also going to go through the second hole down in the flap on the other side. So here we go. I'll turn this over so you can see. And we're going to pull that through until that's nice and firm. You don't want to yank on it too hard because you may rip the leather. But before we go down, we're going to go up because we want to reinforce that first stitch as we've done all the way along. There we go. So by going through that hole twice, that's going to give us a really firm starting point, so the lead won't move about on us too much. There we go. So as you can see now, it all lines up quite easily. It's not too far off. So we just go ahead as we normally would. Now you're going to might ask, but what if I splice the thread that's already in the hole? Because you're going through almost 4 layers of leather, that's really not a concern. If you have to pull on the thread really hard, then you have definitely gone through the thread. So take your time, stick with the same pattern you were using before of your lefts and rights or your ups and downs to make your stitch correct, and it will come together just as easily as this one will. So as you can see now, we have a few stitches missing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back before we go forwards again. So I can show you how we can fill these sections up to make this seam nice and strong. So first step is to go the whole past. There we go. Make that nice and straight. And now we're going to go back. So as you see, as I pull this, it's going to fill that hole and it's going to become a straight line. And we're going to do the same again. Up. And down. And up. And down. So as you can see, that flap we just turned around has now got all of its stitches full on the front, and we've got 1 stitch free on the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through that stitch, just 1 layer, but we're just going to push the needle down through the sleeve that leather flap has created. You can see it poking out the bottom there. So the needle's gone through the hole and is coming out through the bottom there. And we're going to pull. There you go. You have now created your hand loop. Nice and strong and extremely sturdy. So now we're going to continue all the way down to the snap hook at the bottom. Same up-down pattern you were using before, all the way back to where we started. So here we are back where we started, just putting the final stitches in before the snap hook. So you keep going as per usual, all the way to the end. And then we're going to do a double stitch in that last hole, as we said before. So there's 2 layers of thread in the stitch on both sides. I'll show you that now. So you can see there's 2 layers of thread in here, and there's 2 layers of thread in here, and that's on both sides. So what we're going to do now is finish as we started. We're going to take the needle and the thread, and we're going to push it through the hole and straight out the other side of the stitched start finish. Doesn't matter where it comes out, give it a good tug. Then you're going to trim all the little loosey-goosey threads you've got hanging on the edge. You can also tuck these in using your needle if you've trimmed them a little bit long. I'll show you how to do that. You just take your needle and push them into the gap. That's the cool thing about wax linen thread, it sticks to itself, so it gets super secure. There we go. And you're done. I know it was quite the slog, and you should give yourself a serious pat on the back for it, but a handmade lead like this is going to last you decades. This lead can also be attached to our Good Dog collar via the D-ring here, or it can be attached to any commercial grade lead just using this heavy duty snap hook, which makes it really easy to use. So with a perfect hand loop and a beautiful heirloom quality construction, you're off on the best dog walk you'll ever have. I guarantee you'll be the snazziest person at the park. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon.